Welcome back. Pope Francis was one of the most visible men in the world. His worship services and public events were followed by tens of millions of people every day. But what was it like to see the Pope behind the scenes, working, traveling, maybe even sharing a joke? NBC's Jay Gray with more on the personal side of the Pope.
He led more than 1 billion Catholics around the world, but only a select group of journalists had a 30,000-foot view of Pope Francis's journey. NBC News correspondent Claudio Lavagna is part of the Vatican-accredited media personnel, or VAMP. It's made up of about 70 members of the press who travel with the Pope on board Shepherd 1. Over the past 20 years, Lavagna's covered Popes John Paul II, Benedict, and Francis.
It's like following a rock star around the world.
His papal name, Francis, was chosen to honor the saint of the poor, the people Lavagna says the late Pope seemed happiest to be around.
He wanted the poor church. He wanted to reach out to the last of the last. Not politicians, not leaders, just the people, especially the people who had nothing, and perhaps the most important that they had was faith.
Lavagna says the spiritual leader had quite the sense of humor, and he recalls pulling a prank on the Pope during a flight to Morocco.
When he extended his hand, I just pulled it away, and he was shocked.
The joke, a play on this viral video showing the Pope refusing to let well-wishers kiss his ring.
You know, a lot of people are asking themselves, why didn't you allow this faithful to shake your hand or kiss your hand? And he laughed, and he took my hand, and he slowly explained that he did it for hygienic reasons.
As loved as Francis was, he did have his critics.
There were a lot of unfulfilled promise to this pontificate.
One of his most iconic and historic moments came when the world shut down due to COVID. Pope Francis standing in an empty St. Peter's Square, praying for the pandemic to end.
The Pope is the shepherd of the world, and I think that image will last a very long time.
Weigel contends the next Pope will have a different vision for the Church.
I think we are going to see a conclave focused on a return to a more orderly process of decision-making in Rome.
While in many ways Pope Francis changed the papacy, some say it never changed him.
He really always was Jorge Bergoglio, which was his real name, and he never lost that for one day.
Jay Gray, NBC News.
When world-renowned Latin jazz musician Nachito Herrera returned to the stage of the Dakota Jazz Club this weekend, it marked one heck of a comeback story. 5 years ago, COVID nearly killed him. Kent met up with Nachito ahead of his show, and if you're wondering how he's doing, just take a listen.
If you take the music of Beethoven, infuse it with a splash of Latin jazz, and stitch in the stylings of John Coltrane, you'll only begin to understand the playful playlist.
Some of my originals
coming to the Dakota Jazz Club on Saturday.
In these 16, 17 pieces is kind of like the life of Nachito Herrera. That's what I have been doing.
From a young age, the piano has been a part of Nachito's life. From gaining acclaim as a teen in Cuba to bringing his own brand of Latin jazz to Minnesota 24 years ago. And the Steinway artist can still be found right here.
But at the same time, it's the passion.
Practicing 8 hours a day.
It is like the daily basis. I don't like to bring music to the stage. I just bring my set list, that's it. Nothing. So I try to keep it all right here.
You will play all of this music by memory?
It is a lot. It is a lot to go through.
Especially considering how far he's had to come in the past 5 years.
For me, it's inspiration.
Nachito's wife Aurora could never forget.
It's a miracle.
That journey.
It's my miracle.
With COVID-19 ravaging his heart and lungs in March of 2020, Nachito's doctors decided to make him one of the first U.S. patients to try ECMO.
We weren't sure if a patient who had COVID would survive.
And that life support, which pumps all of the blood for the heart and lungs externally, worked. After 12 days, he opened his eyes hours before Easter Sunday.
I just looked through the window and I spoke with God and I said, well, if you brought me back here, it is for a reason.
But for weeks, he wasn't sure what that reason was.
I was trying to play something. I was kind of trying to remember and I couldn't. I got no muscle control. My hands were so shaky.
After a month of practice and patience, we visited Nichito from a distance in 2020 at his home to see his progress and share his story.
It's quite something to be back at your house, even though I wasn't inside your house 5 years ago. And it is a little different in here. This is new.
Here we are on the new studio, practicing, working. All I want to do is actually keep playing. I thank God every day for giving me this opportunity.
And he's certainly not alone.
I am happy now, but it's emotional for me looking at you. This is a good message for the people, hope. Easy.
I have to thank God and all people for the rest of my life.
A message he can't wait to share again on Saturday.
This is my life right here.
Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.